Alright, we all know why we're here. To dunk on Techland. There are a lot of Techland hate videos going around right now. They're receiving a lot of backlash and also valid criticism for some recent decisions they've made regarding Dying Light 2 and just in general. Of course, they partnered with Tencent, which people weren't a big fan of, and then not long after that they announced a new in-game microtransaction currency called Dying Light Points. They've also been pay-to-win leaks, some drama, and I want to just take a step back from all that, okay? When this news came out about Dying Light Points, rather than jumping on the hate bandwagon, I sat down with a team member at Techland, I got their side of the story, then I sat on that information for a while, I started to think about it a bit more, I wanted to wait and see how these Dying Light points are actually implemented, and deliver criticism from there. That is what I am here to do today. I'm not here to stir up more drama, I'm not here to hate Techland, or even defend Techland or Tencent. I just want to set the facts straight, okay? Because they are worthy of criticism, but that criticism isn't valid when we're just spewing out misinformation and being hyperbolic about everything. Starting with the big one, there is no connection between Dying Light points and Tencent. I know, I thought the same thing, I didn't believe it, the timing was incredibly suspicious, they were less than a month from each other in the announcements. I mean, it was pretty natural for everyone to assume this was the work of Tencent, because when you think microtransactions, in-game currencies, what do you think of? You think of Fortnite, you think of COD points, you think of League of Legends Riot points or whatever, okay? And all of those are under the umbrella of companies that are owned or in partnership with Tencent. It's just what comes to mind. Dying Light points, by the way, can't be spent on DLC or expansion packs or upgrading your game from standard to collector's edition or anything like that. They can only be spent on bundles, and there are a bunch of bundles already available in Dying Light 2. One of the more notorious bundles was the Walking Dead bundle that was announced and released back in July, and it included this knife with special new animations that weren't actually in the game until the most recent update just over a week ago. So if you purchased it back in July and you've been waiting all this time, you can finally go ahead and enjoy those animations. And as cool as a virtual knife bundle to help you survive the zombie apocalypse is, I'd much rather get the real thing from Bespoke Post, who have a bunch of IRL bundles to choose from, like the Slash bundle featuring a Japanese-inspired Nara tool, or the ultimate do-it-all tool included in the Terror Box alongside a scrub bar and a bird call for your outdoor survival needs. And if you're looking for a sturdy bag to carry all your tools, look no further than the Weekender. Made from durable cotton canvas with a metal reinforced frame, this bag is actually modeled in the same style originally used by stonemasons. Think of it like an IRL player stash. The way it works is that Bespoke Post is a monthly membership club delivering a box of awesome top-shelf goods from under-the-radar brands. It's free to join, you can cancel anytime, and 90% of the products come from small brands, many of which are from the US. You can choose from a wide variety of different boxes which are based on a preference quiz you fill out, and every box of awesome you receive has around $70 worth of goods inside, but it costs you only a fraction of the value. They even give you the option to preview what's inside your assigned box to decide if you'd like to 1. Keep it, 2. Swap it for a different box, or 3. Skip the month entirely for no charge since you only pay for what you want. And not only that, but since the kind folks at Bespoke Post are sponsoring this video you're watching right now, you can go ahead and get 20% off your first order by using code ColossalKiwi20 or just clicking the link below. Now, when Dying Light points were first announced, I jumped on a call with the influencer manager Sherry at Techland, and I asked him, why? What's the point, what's the bottom line here of why this decision is being made? And basically what it came down to was that Techland's goal was to improve the overall Dying Light ecosystem and provide a better experience for the players, whilst also retaining full control of their IP. And it sounds like a bunch of corporate mumbo-jumbo, but when you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense, especially when you think about Techland's history as a game developer, right? Starting with the fact that they parted ways with Deep Silver to stay true to their vision and launch Dying Light the way it was meant to be, and then they supported that game for 7+ years with free content and paid content. In 2016, Techland themselves became a publisher to help other indie game studios with their journeys. In 2017, and many of you won't remember this, they launched Gemly, which was their own PC games storefront, kind of like GOG.com, where they could sell their own games as well as the games they were publishing and potentially some more games as well without sacrificing margins per sale. Then if we fast forward to Dying Light 2, The game was self-published. They went from working with Deep Silver to parting ways with Warner Brothers and leveraging their connection with Warner Brothers to deliver on what they needed, then started publishing for other developers, and then, eventually, independently publishing their own game. And just on a subjective note, I don't see the sturdy Polish people of Techland, after that long journey to independence, just rolling over and being like, you know what, Tencent, you pull the strings. You tell us exactly what to do. I don't think that's realistic. Just like partnering with Warner Brothers helped facilitate that end goal of delivering the ideal Dying Light, I guess Techland believes that partnering with Tencent and leveraging their resources is the ideal way to achieve their future goals in the coming years. And also there's the simple fact that Dying Light points as a currency were leaked way back in April, well before the announcement, and I know that partnerships take time to announce with Tencent and all that, but also these systems take a lot of time to build, and they said that they've been working on this idea for years now, and I fully believe them, okay? It was leaked way before the Tencent partnership announcement. I am sure, though, that Tencent is more than happy to help them scale this and make more money from it, but it remains that this was a Techland initiative, and some people actually see that as a bad thing, right? Okay, it's not a Tencent thing. But if this is truly Techland's initiative all on their own, does that mean that Techland has changed? I mean, after all, when they were releasing a bunch of free content for Dying Light, Techland was one of those examples, along with CD Projekt Red, of developers. These guys are doing it right. Everyone else in the gaming world, look at these developers and take notes from them. And obviously, when you think about Techland then versus Techland now, there are some huge differences. Now Tencent is part of the mix. Now there's a microtransaction currency, which is problematic for different reasons we'll get into in a moment. But people are now under the assumption that Techland themselves have changed, and they've stopped caring about the community, they've stopped listening to feedback, and I just want to say firsthand, as a creator, that I know this is going to sound really biased, but has been in touch with them, has had a relationship with Techland since Dying Light 1, I'm very confident that that hasn't changed, okay? They still are super receptive to community feedback on what to change in the game, how to improve it. They have been hounding us creators to just collect as much community feedback as possible, to get on calls with them, to tell them specifically what we feel needs to be improved. We beta tested for the parkour updates, there was the nighttime updates. They are still directly listening and responding to feedback and improving Dying Light 2 accordingly. So I just feel like that needs to be said, okay? We can criticize them for the microtransactions and all that, but don't make this false connection that means they've straight up stopped caring, especially the developers, okay? You can have issues with the business side, and there are valid reasons to criticize Dying Light points, but do not take it out on the developers themselves, okay? Another rumor that's going around lately is that Techland is planning on monetizing a pay-to-win system where you can skip legend levels in Dying Light 2. And it turns out that's not true, although I get the suspicion. There were these little leaked screenshots that involved the word purchase and stuff like that. And it turns out that where this comes from is Techland was initially planning on making the legend levels online only as an attempt to stop hackers from gaming the system or something like that. They ended up just scrapping the system, but they left the code in, and the word purchase comes from the in-game menu where you purchase the skills. It's just a poor choice of wording, but they are not monetizing a pay-to-win system where you skip legend levels. No. So, if this isn't a Tencent thing, and Techland is still in control of their own game, and if there isn't pay-to-win, or God forbid, loot boxes and gambling, right, is there still reason to be concerned about the Dying Light points system? And the answer is yes. Absolutely there is. Now, when Techland initially announced Dying Light points, they also released an FAQ that explains how it works, and they mentioned that if you want to purchase these bundles the old school way, through the Steam store, you still can. The only exception is the PlayStation Store, but they also implied that they have plans to move everything internal at some point, and that's pretty concerning. I mean, I had one thing on my mind when I read that, and it wasn't, is this going to be more convenient, less convenient? I'm not worried about that. The only thing I was worried about was, okay, if my only choice is Dying Light points, can I still decide exactly how much I'm going to spend? If something is worth $5.20 in my currency, can I still pay exactly $5.20? And the answer, of course, is no. You can only purchase in increments, in lump sums, in bundles, if you will. And yeah, Techland did give everyone 500 points for free, which I think is the equivalent of $5 US. Some bundles are less than 500 points, some are more. I don't think any of them are exactly 500. Look, yeah, that's a lot of money, right, that they're giving up, but you know what you're doing. You're tricking people to fall into a predatory system, so they now have residual currency left over, so they buy more, they buy in bundles. We're adults. This is an R18 game, and it feels like we're being treated like kids. It's not nearly as bad as loot boxes and gambling and that, but it still just feels a little bit disrespectful, and I don't know how you expected a positive community response when going from the old system to the new system means giving up agency and control over how we spend our money. Look, I know that a large portion of the community are calling for these Dying Light points to be removed entirely, and I totally get it, right? It's totally fine to not like booting up the game and being greeted with this nonsense. It does change the feel of the game, and I too would prefer for it to be removed. But I don't see that as being realistic, so is there some kind of middle ground? Like, I personally would be okay with the points existing if you want to buy bundles and get stuff cheaper in bulk, but also just having the option there to purchase the normal way, that would make me feel okay about it. Once again, I do firmly believe that Techland cares about the community's wants and needs. I mean, they just announced this roadmap, which is a pretty good example of that. So I say, let's use this as an opportunity for Techland to prove themselves that they are pro-consumer. Leave your feedback below whether you agree or you disagree with me about something, or there is something that I haven't considered, and let your voice be heard. Techland, I know that the reason why you moved everything into this storefront, the reason why you implemented Dying Light points, was to have better control over your product and your experience and your Dying Light ecosystem. But what about my control?